So,
Um,
and we're recording now.
Hi, Elana. How are you?
Good.
Good.
Hanging out with my cattail.
Nice. We're all hoping that there's a cat attached. I know there is. So there, yeah, there we go. Um, all right. So um, fantastic. So let's jump right in. Tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do.
So, my name's Elana Effrat, and I've been in the spirits industry for over 15 years and have worked across all three tiers, which means I've been in retail, I've been on the supplier side, and I've also been in distribution as well. So I've kind of seen the business in all different viewpoints. Most recently, I kind of had my dream job working with a whiskey that was created by Dave Pickerel and a little band known as Metallica. So it was an exciting 2 years, and um, unfortunately, due to the pandemic, I was laid off a few weeks ago because I was focusing on national events, which has definitely taken a back seat in what the event scene looks like. And so I went from trying to plan 10 the activation at 10 music festivals that would bring in 30,000 people um, each day to working from home for the last 6 months. So but yeah, that's where we are today.
Events are one of those super challenging things in this day and age. Um, it's just one of those. When will we get back to a feeling of normalcy? And I hate to say things like, when we get back to normal, because I don't think we're ever going to have it.
It's going
It's
to
going
be
to be a
very.
new normal. So, um,
Sorry, go on. What were you? Are you allergic to
I am allergic to cats. Yes, I am allergic to Zoom
It's the
cats.
visualization of my cat.
Um, no, my dog often jumps on. Uh, Especially my wife, he'll jump on her while she's on some of her calls, and
Yeah.
so yeah, it's. I mean, we're living in a time where pets are part of the show, so um, totally, totally fine.
Kids.
Yeah,
Sometimes I live in Brooklyn, so sometimes it's a lot of sirens. But luckily, it's been calm today. So, um, but yeah, the it was really fascinating working on these large scale events for a brand. I've done events over the years, the tried and true, the Whiskey Fest, the Whiskey X's, Tales of the Cocktail, all these trade events, and then to suddenly go from something that's very heavily trade focused into connecting with a community that might not necessarily be familiar with whiskey in general is a completely different experience altogether. And it was interesting to see firsthand how people reacted to the brand and to the identity, to the persona, to like the whole look and feel of what Blackened was, or well, it is. But I do. There are some. I think it's going to be a while before we are physically tasting in rooms together. I don't know about you, but the thought of being in a room with people drinking, like social distance, usually goes out the window when people have had a few.
we we had um, I as you know, I steward for ADI.
Yeah,
We
that's
had
where we met.
someone join us a few years ago. It was their first time, and they were, I don't want to say standoffish, but they hadn't been around the type of people who typically steward for these events. We're rambunctious, fun. We're there to have a good time. We're there to work, obviously.
Yeah.
And there isn't a day that goes by where someone isn't handing you a glass that 6 other people have tasted out of and said, "Here, taste this." And so, we got her involved, and we told her, we started handing her glasses and said, "Here, taste this." And by the end of that first day, she was very against it. By the end of that first day, we had her drinking out of everyone's glasses. That's not something that can happen in today's environment.
No, I've never been a germaphobe. I've never thought twice about going somewhere, touching a cart, touching my keys, my phone. Like, I don't think about it. And sharing glasses with people, especially alcohol, because it kills germs. Like, there's certain people I'm like, no, I'm not sharing with you. But now I notice every single little thing that I touch that other people are touching and where they put their hands. It's this unique hyper awareness. And so I'm curious how the industry is going to react to this new reality of not being able to like pour a quarter ounce and hand it to another human being and just be like, here, taste this in front of me. The other weekend, I did get a quote unquote road trip. I went up to the Catskills. It's a few hour drive, and I just needed to go outside without a mask on. It's impossible really to do that here in Brooklyn because it's too crowded. And I was really impressed. I stopped at Prohibition Distillery in Roscoe, New York, and I was so impressed with what they have done with their tasting room. They've set up bars that are far away. What they'll do is they'll put down the samples for you to taste, and then they talk about it, and then they go back and let you sample, and then you put your mask back on, they come back and do the follow-up. And I was really impressed with that. So people are adapting to how we do things. And in the event world, there's a lot of conversation about marrying the virtual with the in real life, where you'll have a small team of people on the ground doing something and then broadcasting it out into a larger audience.
Yeah, I'm working with some producers now. I have about 150 of these little wine samples that I have to get through. It's all virtual,
Mm-hmm.
and that may wind up being that type of customizable individual experience might wind up being a part of our lives for quite a while. I mean, you do a lot of concerts, a lot of these big events. It's hard for me to wrap my head around what it's going to look like and how soon we can get back to a point where we have 40,000 people concerts. I mean, people are getting infected with gatherings of 5 or 10 people. What is it going to look like? What is it going to look like when it's 40,000?
Yeah. That's a very good question. And to be honest, I need to tune in a little bit more of what's happening in the entertainment field with concerts. I was working closely with Danny Wimmer Presents, and they've been doing a lot of podcasts and Q&As. A lot of their team who were furloughed or let go have gone on or laid off, have gone on to working on other projects. And there's exciting things out there that that I'm seeing, and people are trying, but it's going to be a long time before, let's say, the symphony comes back. before we have, 20 people on a stage. We're looking at having like 4 people on a stage, 5 people. Outside, things are a lot better. There have been some really creative events in Germany. They had a drive-in DJ where people like partied. It was 2 people per car, and they were doing glow sticks, and there was a DJ with a huge deck, and people just partied in their cars. So we're seeing some of that coming to life. Activations where it was in person, people coming up and sampling or experiencing that brand are now doing drive-throughs. At the end of the day, it's going to be hard for a lot of brands to do that because the amount of money that it takes to build out something like that, it's going to be a hefty price tag. And even with connecting, with sampling now, how it's being done, you have all those minis. Brands need to spend a lot of time and energy and money putting together a kit that goes out to individuals. So you're paying for shipping, you're paying for customization, everything that goes in there needs to get put together.
Yeah, it's a completely different business model, being able to go out and do activations. And you and I have very similar career paths. I've done all 3 tiers myself. And so it's interesting to see it from all the different sides. But if you look at it from the consumer side, I'm not sure they realize what it takes to get even to the point where you're able to pour in front of a Total Wine or at a whiskey fest or at a farmer's market. There's a lot that entails getting in front of people, and that's a big part of the business plan for a lot of the beverage industry. Is, if you can be in front of people, then you can sell to them. It's, not to use one of our favorite words, pivot. It's going to take a lot of effort for brands to pivot to that completely divergent business model where, it's also an issue. And I'd love to talk a little bit about this: direct to consumer shipping. You can do it with wine.
Yeah.
It's, you can't really do this with beer. I mean, you can't really put, beer in a little thing like this and, ship it out.
I mean, if people want to like start making little pony cans,
yeah,
that's the wave of the future. And beer, you can do direct to consumer breweries. There was actually in Mark Brown's newsletter, I think it was today or yesterday, there was an article on direct to consumer marketplace, because it's a battle, because they feel that spirits, it's worse for your health than wine or beer. So if somebody delivers a vodka to your door and a 10-year-old gets it and they drink that, it's going to be worse than if they opened up a bottle of wine and drank the wine, or the can of beer if they drank the vodka. Now, if a 10-year-old can stomach even like the first few sips of vodka, I'd be a little bit impressed, because that's that's just clear spirit. And a lot of that is, we're going to dive into a little bit of a different topic, which has been the bane of my existence, trying to build a spirits portfolio at a predominantly wine company, is that spirits are completely misunderstood by the world at large.
Yeah.
And I went on a warpath for years trying to connect wine people to the spirits world and invite them in and show them that this is an agricultural product. It's just one extra step. And so the biggest beef that people have, it's insulting that people keep saying spirits are more detrimental than anything else. And I think it's a big misunderstanding, and I get the fears and the concerns. But then there's also the push and pull from the 3-tier system, because then we're going into a 4-tier system. So messing with them. As you know, this is not an industry that changes quickly. We have been doing business the same way for the last since prohibition ended. There's been some minor changes on the distribution side where now it's like you can't, it's hard to have like one brand and like 7 different distributors. So it's not 7 reps going to the one account and seeing who can get the order first. But we haven't changed our model.
No. We definitely, in the beverage industry, the hospitality industry, it's definitely slow to change. It's hard because there's so much lobbying on the back end.
Mm-hmm.
There's so much, and this is a public podcast, and people are welcome to give their comments. And if Discus or Worts Beverage, Breakthrough Beverage, or any of these other companies want to comment, they're welcome to. It's one tier of the system that claims that the whole system will fall if we change one aspect. I don't see retailers suffering during this. In fact, they're doing very well through COVID-19.
It really also, it actually depends on where the retailer is.
Yeah, to an extent, yeah.
Yeah, so some, and that's a whole other conversation of like, yeah, retailers are seeing their numbers increase because they're still buying, but it's what they're buying. Like where most, part of working in a store or a bar, it's all about that interaction with your customer. It's building up that relationship. And it's having that one-on-one conversation because palates are different. People have different tastes, different wants, price, whatever it is. Like to have like that one person that you could go to in a store and say, that last thing you recommended was awesome. What else you got for me? That's kind of gone for the most part, especially in urban areas, and in suburban areas where people it's bigger stores, they're probably not asking for that personal attention.
Right.
I remember visiting a Total Wine in Palm Beach years ago, and I asked one question, and they were so excited for like the question, the salespeople, that like I was there for like 40 minutes, and they just started pulling out everything. And they're so well trained; they spend a lot of time educating their staff. But consumers, for the most part, they go with what they know. They go in, they buy what they know. It's hard to get somebody to switch. And so some of the complaints I'm hearing from my retail friends here is that they're just picking orders, and they're kind of over what they're picking. They miss having that interaction. They miss getting to push brands that they love. And so they're coming to terms with finding new tactics as well. Keep themselves entertained.
What's that?
They need to keep themselves entertained. I mean, working in retail has its bonuses, and one of them is getting to talk to the customer. For the most part, is getting to like help a customer and have them leave really happy with what they got.
Absolutely. So offline, we were talking quite a bit about marketing and marketing strategy and how clients don't listen when we tell them what to do. What can brands do now in August 2020 to adapt and to focus in on getting that consumer to pay attention?
That is a very loaded question. But by now a brand should have had their strategy for how they were going to tackle the holidays. Your distributor should know what you're planning on doing for SOND, September, October, November, December. All of that should have been done like a month and a half ago, as we're in the first week of August. And so one of the things that I'm seeing is that a lot, and it's hard for craft brands because they don't have the marketing dollars the bigger brands have, so they have to be very smart with where they spend their money. But there's something really exciting about knowing who your target audience is, because then you could go and take that demographic, male, female, fluid, age, even median income, and you could go to a Facebook or an Instagram or a magazine or radio, and you can then pinpoint who is target, where you're going to get the most bang for your buck. And I don't, in my experience working with craft brands, I haven't really seen them do that market research. I haven't really seen too many of them come forward with a go-to-market strategy, other than, well, we'll just, we'll come work the market. We'll do some trainings. It is, everybody has done that. What's next? What is the next wave? And looking at the Zoom exhaustion, the social media exhaustion, people are getting hammered by like sponsored ads, so it's creating something that is unique only to your brand, something that shows added value and how it's different from everybody else. So knowing the competition, what they're doing, and knowing what you have to offer to your target consumer is extremely important for making your dollars stretch and spending that time and energy. If you keep trying to throw 6 different SKUs at the same person, they're going to shut down. So it's picking like, what's that one thing that you can get across? And it used to be, at best, you can maybe get across 2 points about your product to a customer who's already purchased yours. So it's like, what is that one message? What is your elevator pitch? And I always stress that with every brand I talk to. In fact, I'm doing it for myself right now, writing a resume. What's my elevator pitch? Who am I? How am I different from everybody else? So it goes for so many different things, but as a brand, that's probably one of the most important things to do, is answer that question. Who am I? What do I have to offer? And how am I unique? And then be able to focus on that message and drive it home.
That is very good advice. For those of you listening, you should pay attention to that. We'll be right back after this commercial break. Nope, just kidding. We don't have commercial breaks. That's not a thing. Elana, thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate your time. We'll definitely have you back on again soon. Yeah.
Thank you for inviting me on, and for your continued support. Hopefully we will see each other at ADI judging again in real life, not fake virtual life. I don't even know what this is.
It's possible. It's avatar life is what it is, essentially. It's yeah.
Well, I'm working on my avatar hair.
There you
go. Well, and thank you to those who are listening and tuning in. I look forward to seeing comments and any questions.
Fantastic.
All right. Thanks so much.